Welcome to the Paul Farrington Show. Please remember, guys, if you're enjoying this content, like, comment, subscribe to our channel. Fun week 9 of the NFL season. Actually, kind of a miserable week 9 of the NFL season. Not many entertaining games. But there's one conclusion that I've come to, and maybe we should have seen this a little bit earlier, some NFC North fans, but Jack's kind of been on it. The Lions run the NFC North right now. We can't really argue that at this point in time. I know Jordan Love was banged up. There were a lot of banged up Packers players. I don't really care. Like, everyone's got injuries. Aiden Hutchinson's hurt. Brian Branch was thrown out. Probably shouldn't have been thrown out of that game. It's a reality that Vikings, Packers, Bears fans have to admit. Detroit's running the show until someone does something about it right now. It's kind of weird to say, it's the Lions, but they don't make mistakes. They're tough. They're risky. And right now they're playing really good football today. 24-14 win over the Packers. Paul joined by Jack Weinberger and Robert Ziggy Ziegler at the University of Virginia. So, Ziggy, I feel like we may have brought our black cloud over to Green Bay today and that fan base, since we publicly said we're rooting for the Packers. It's something Vikings fans are usually outcasted for. But we went there. We said we're rooting for them because we want to win the Super Bowl as well. And the best way to do that is to win the division. So we cursed the Packers today. What was your big takeaway from Green Bay and Detroit?
I think that this game was impossible for the Packers to win if they were going to have the kinds of miscues on offense they did. I'm not trying to take anything away from Detroit. Detroit played a great game of football, but the Packers beat themselves in all sorts of ways. 6 drop passes, 10 brutal penalties. This team, they went to the red zone on their first 3 drives and walked away with a field goal and a missed field goal. Like, they weren't able to get anything done. The Jordan Love pick 6 was a disaster. They weren't able to get a touchdown until the game was functionally wrapped away. And if you look at how this game played out, I mean, the Packers in the first half, they had an advantage in yards, 218 yards to 132. But they had 8 penalties in that first half, 4 drop passes, a missed field goal. McManus maybe not as good as people were thinking, a disastrous turnover. Like, this Packers team, from a down play-to-play perspective, played well enough to be competitive, but they had so many mistakes at exactly the wrong time that this game was never close. The Lions just executed a much cleaner game.
I think you're right, Ziggy. And on top of that, you mentioned a lot of the miscues. 4th down conversions. Detroit scored 2 touchdowns on 4th down. Green Bay got stuffed in the red zone later on in the game. The first drive, I actually thought the first drive wound up setting the tone for a lot of the game, where Green Bay's moving the ball down the field. And, we're all kind of texting each other. I'm watching the game with my dad, and I'm thinking, man, like, Green Bay's coming out and setting a tone early. Like, this is a statement drive if they come down and cap it with the touchdown. And it was Chris Brooks, I believe. It was a little dump off pass too. It was behind him a bit, but that's a ball you got to bring in a game against the Lions. I probably would have wound up walking into the end zone for a touchdown on the opening drive. Dontavian Wicks had the drop too. Like, there were a lot of plays where Green Bay was just a little bit off, and against Detroit, you can't get away with that. I'm in a chat with a bunch of Packers fans, University of Wisconsin kids, and they were just furious the whole game. I mean, they were losing their minds, but that was the difference. You can look to the injuries, but this was just a game where Green Bay made way too many mistakes to beat a Lions team that doesn't make mistakes.
Yeah, and the thing is, too, about that is such a big early moral victory for the Lions. Like, you're playing on the road. It's Lambeau Field. Crowd's getting into it. And to hold them to 3 there was huge right off the bat. And then they go down and score a touchdown. Yeah. And I love, at that point in the game on Detroit's side of the ball, going for it on 4th down. That's playing to win the game.
They're lunatics, man.
That is playing to win the game on the road right there. Points lead a premium in this game. Weather's kind of crappy. Low scoring game, and an early chance to score points and take that lead. I think that coin flip there was a good call.
And even there on that Lions drive, it's 4th and 8, or it's 4th and goal from the 8. And what happens? TJ Slayton jumps off sides, makes it a 4th and 3, easy Amon-Ra St. Brown touchdown. Yet another place
good
where,
catch by Amon-Ra.
Yeah, and then you say, okay, they've scored a touchdown. Brian Branch gets ejected from the game. Surely that's going to be able to get it done. Nope. Jordan Morgan flagged for holding. Bo Melton drops a pass. Romeo Dobbs false start. Like, nothing went right for this team.
And then what really ended it was the pick six.
The pick six ended the game.
You had a missed field goal. You had that horrible pick six. The game was over at the half. And while I do think Detroit is the best team in the NFL, and I'm going to give them their flowers, they deserve it. I've been on them all year. Green Bay shot themselves in the foot in the first 30 game minutes. Yeah. And it was done by the half.
I completely agree. As soon as Love threw the interception, even though it was just a 2-score game, maybe this is the pessimist.
Well, it was 10-3. He throws a pick six with what, a minute and a half?
Oh, yeah, but just from the way the game was going, just the feel of the game is like, I don't, like that might be not insurmountable, but that, like it just felt like it's so deflating if you were a Packer fan. And for this game, we kind of were Packers fans. So it was like, all right.
It's not just feeling either, right? Going into that drive, ESPN had the Lions at about 75% to win. Favored but winnable. After that pick six, they had him at 92%.
Yeah, and you were right, Ziggy. You talked about the penalties they had as well. The jumping off sides, like you said, the false start after the Brian Branch ejection. Like that just straight up, it was backbreaking. You can't have those errors. Like against a team like Detroit, you can't do it. Brian Branch, I didn't think he should have been ejected. Like we were talking about that. That felt soft, right?
It's a clear penalty, but he's not. There's no ill will or ill intent. It's a 15-yard penalty.
When did the NFL? I'm serious. Maybe I'm in the twilight zone or something, but I don't remember the NFL just throwing people out. Like Puka got thrown out a couple 20 minutes later.
Puka got thrown out for punching a guy in the face.
Yeah, I mean
it's a softer game than college. It's a softer game than college.
College, they would be suspended for the first half of the next game.
That's not even a flag in college.
It was. I was just confused though. I don't remember. I really can't remember a time when they called in from upstairs and said throw that player out of the game. Like, can you recall anything like that?
That was weird. I was really surprised at what was going on.
I mean, if Brian Branch then can't go on and get another 15-yard penalty, freaking out, but I didn't really blame him for his explosion. Like, what the hell are we doing here, guys?
I mean, that woke the Lions up.
It was a clear penalty. It was clearly a helmet-to-helmet
hit.
Yeah,
no, 15 yards. Jack's 100% right.
Yeah. But when is he wrong?
This Lions team, I think, they've shown us a lot of resilience, right? I mean, they lose Aiden Hutchinson to injury. You lose Brian Branch to a questionable, to say the least, ejection. Like, those are the two huge playmakers for the Lions defense, right? The question was, is everybody else going to be able to step up around them? And the answer this game was yes. If you're the Lions, you have to be thrilled holding the Packers to 6 points outside of a meaningless late fourth quarter touchdown.
Yeah, they did an awesome job. Like you said, no Hutchinson, but they've been doing such a good job of kind of everybody else just stepping up, applying that pressure. They were in that backfield, giving Jordan Love a hard time pretty much the whole entire game, it felt like. Like, he was uncomfortable. I know he was hurt, and that's a big factor, but they really made it hard for 60 minutes on this Green Bay offense. Like, they wore him down. They were more physical. It was domination. I mean, you look at the lines up front. Detroit destroyed them on both ends.
Detroit has a way to just break your will right now, week in and week out, and they did it multiple times. Like you said off the top, after the field goal on the opening drive, they go 13 plays down the field, score a touchdown. The interception right before half. Then they come out of half and they go on a 9-play, 71-yard touchdown drive to make it 24-3. Like, they have this ability.
By Keyshawn Nixon, defensive holding on 3rd and 6.
Yeah, on 3rd and 6. Yep, another huge Packer penalty. But Detroit's they can do this. Like, they go and they just break your spirit. And I felt like most of the second half, I know after that, they had 3 straight punts, but at that point, the game kind of felt over at 24-3. And Green Bay continued to have the same mistakes. So, Elton Jenkins ended a drive by, he said, screw this drive, I'm done, and decided to stop snapping it to Jordan Love. They had the turnover on downs. Like, it was kind of the same game the whole way through of Detroit taking advantage of miscues from Green Bay and putting the game out of reach.
This Detroit line the entire game was able to just push Green Bay back. Mm-hmm. I feel like these two backs on the ground.
What'd they end with on the ground? Let's see. We know what Jahmyr Gibbs ended with, don't we?
Yeah, Jahmyr Gibbs. The Ziegler Zag this week was Jahmyr Gibbs, 65.5. He finished with 65. David Montgomery finished with 73.
So the cap of the week and Jahmyr Gibbs combined lost by a point.
Amon-Ra was really good. Jared Goff doesn't throw in completions.
The run game was awesome. This line bullied Green Bay. That opened up play action. They were really near impossible to stop. And like we said on the preview show, like the weather too, and that factor helped Detroit more than it helps Green Bay.
Jared Goff is evolving. It feels like every couple of weeks, all of a sudden it's like, wait a second, he's even better than he was a couple of weeks ago. And
well, but I mean, hold on. Jared Goff's average depth of target was like 3 yards.
He's efficient.
I don't care.
He executed the game plan fine. I'm not criticizing him, but Jared Goff didn't do a whole lot.
Well, I don't think he's Lamar Jackson out there, but he doesn't throw incomplete passes.
He was efficient. He was very efficient.
How often can we think over the past few weeks where you've gone, oh, that's a really bad play by Jared Goff?
Yeah, I think he's very efficient. I think he's perfect for this offense.
What about Lamar Jackson?
I'm just saying he
wasn't
waving
to your pretty sister.
You're just being a hater, Ziggy. He's been awesome.
Look, man, if Jared Goff's getting in the MVP conversation, throwing 3-yard passes over and over again, I mean, fair enough. I'm not blaming the Lions. They had a great game plan. They executed it well. They deserve it. I'm just saying this was not Jared Goff unlocking a new level, carrying the team to victory. This was Jared Goff throwing for 140 yards.
Fair enough. I
like half of that coming after the catch.
I get it, but in a game where you're on the road, it's raining, it's crappy. Like he did
controlled the game.
He was perfect.
He executed the game plan well. I'm not criticizing
him. He was perfect.
I think you're being a hater. I think he's being a hater, don't you?
I think he's being a hater also. No, again, it wasn't the 320-yard passing game. It's not a flashy game like Lamar or Mahomes.
No, he took care of business. Jared Goff is a great guy for this. He's got no ego. He plays into the team. He does what he needs to do. And he can have big games. But it's got to be a relief if you're the Lions that he'll just do what you need to do to win. And that you can go, and despite having, frankly, like the Packers offense just played better today, the Lions are such a well-coached, disciplined team and took care of business. It's a dominant win anyway.
I also do love up 17-3, 4th and 1, going for it and just ending the game right away right there.
I'm telling you, man. I know it's fun, but at some point, I'm a little bit worried about Dan Campbell.
That's how you win the game.
That's how you finish a game, but that's also how you lose a game.
That's playing to win the game.
That's what they did last year. I don't know why people are telling me that San Francisco.
I think it was different. Like last year, they had a 4th and 5 late in the game, chance to go up by 17, right?
Yeah.
Like this time, it was the first drive of the game.
No. I was okay with the. Well, actually, I would not have gone for it on 4th and 5 from the 4th and goal from the 5-yard line.
I thought it was a great call.
Well, when they score, it's a great call.
I mean, like worst comes to worst, but the Green Bay is on the 5-yard line.
Yeah, no. I mean, that's not the kind that'll cost
a chance to take a 7-3 lead early on the road. Why not?
Oh, I'm also talking about later on. It was like 17-3. I'm like, I know they scored.
No, that was 1 yard.
When you have 4th and inches when you're your O-line.
I get it. I'm just saying, like those are risky decisions that Detroit it's paid off for them this year.
But kicking a field goal is risky there too.
That's how you play to win.
Sure.
When I'd take my chances with your O-line getting half a yard and winning the game.
I mean, that's what he did in the championship game, and then
no, we threw a pass on like 4th and 6.
No, 4th and 4 or whatever, and they didn't convert it. And
it's different than 4th and inches.
Yeah, no, I agree with it there. I'm just saying. Yeah. I can see a situation arising in January where the Lions are aggressive. It doesn't pay off.
I think it's playing to win.
Yeah, but I mean,
it's fun to watch.
Aggressiveness is why this Lions team is 7-1.
Oh, that's part of it.
2-0 in the NFC North, and meanwhile, why the Packers? I guess it's unrelated, but at this point, the Packers, they're 0-2 in the NFC North. They've lost 2 of 2 home games. Like this division, I will say, is looking increasingly out of reach for teams not named the Detroit Lions. It felt so competitive before the Lions-Vikings game. Now it feels like the Lions have a commanding lead.
Well, do you want to know something that I think is like here's a thought I've been pondering a bit lately. It's Green Bay is what 5-3 right now.
They're 6-3
heading into their bye week. Like the NFC, I think there's a little bit of concern about Green Bay getting into the playoffs if they don't like. I know it's early to say that, but I'm starting to think about it a little bit. And maybe it's too early, but they have a tough schedule. Like they go to Chicago when they come back, then they have San Francisco, Miami, at Detroit, at Seattle. And those are 4 or 5 difficult games, especially with Tua back and playing, he played well today. You just got to, a few of these games here or there, you got to win like probably 3 of them because the NFC has some good teams like the Eagles and Commanders, 2 losses. The Vikings have the tiebreaker over them, 2 losses. You're behind Detroit. Now we're talking about one other team from the West out of the Niners, Seahawks, Cardinals. And if you lose to one of those games to San Francisco or Seattle, you lose that tiebreaker
no
too.
Worry here.
I don't think there's a worry, but it's starting to creep into my mind.
To make the playoffs. They play the Saints, the Dolphins, the Bears twice, the Vikings, Lions, 49ers, and Seahawks. In those 8 games, there's 4 wins.
Yeah, I think they'll get there. I would be very surprised if the Packers didn't make the playoffs. I'm just saying that coming out of this stretch here with Love banged up, and he hasn't been 100% this whole year, really, that it's just on my mind of, okay, like the ship needs to get right pretty soon.
Yeah, I mean, Love hasn't been himself. He's been off, and it is a red flag and cause for concern. But I also don't want to overreact to them losing to the best team in football.
No, it shouldn't. I'm not trying to cause panic or anything like that for Packers fans. I'm just saying when I look at the situation,
they'll be in the postseason.
Yeah, when I look at the situation, the final product that everyone thinks Green Bay can become needs to begin taking shape out of the bye in Chicago, because the season is halfway over. So even like it's a long season, but it's halfway over right now. The turning point needs to start, and I think they will beat Chicago.
This is the perfect time for a bye, right?
It's a great
Jordan
time.
Love's groin is banged up. That's going to get better over 2 weeks of rest. And they open up, as you say, out of the bye, going to Chicago. Jair Alexander should be healthy. Evan Williams should be healthy. And the Packers just own the Bears. That's just how it is. And the Bears have not shown me enough this season to think that they're going to be able to handle Green Bay after getting absolutely annihilated by the Cardinals on the road.
Is it crazy to say?
I think the Packers are going to be just fine.
Yeah. Is it crazy to say, though, let's pretend they come out of the bye, lose at Chicago, McCaffrey's back, they lose to San Francisco. Like, those are 2 games that are big games. And if they lose those 2, now you're talking about a team that's 6-5 and has to turn the gas on. That's why coming out of the break, the Chicago game is really important. I think they'll win it, but that is a big game.
There's 0 chance they lose to the Bears.
I know, they own Chicago.
There's 0 chance you lose until you lose.
Yeah. That's all I'm saying. Not trying to be panicky.
I can go out and beat the Bears tomorrow. I swear to God.
I think the same thing applies to the Vikings. You know, by the time most people are seeing this, the Viking game will be over. But like, they have to beat the Colts tonight. The NFC is very competitive. Like, unexpectedly, there are a lot of teams going for the playoff spots right now, going for those wild card spots, and you have to keep up. So I think it's going to be a great race down the stretch here. But this was disappointing as a fellow NFC North fan, because I was really hoping to get back in the race, and Detroit continues to kind of like how many good games has Detroit really played this year? The Rams game, the Tampa game, the Vikings, right? That's about it.
For a lot of our audience in the pre-show, I said 24-13 final today, which is pretty spot on. If they can remember, it was a 24-14 final. If our viewers can remember that and show me some flowers. 24-13 Lions, I said.
What were you saying, Ziggy?
I was going to say, yeah, the Lions you ask the good games they've played. They've been on a heater against some decent teams.
They're amazing. The Lions are unbeatable. You can't beat them, I don't think. Unless like it's in the Super Bowl against the Chiefs, Ravens, Steelers, or Bills. One of those 4 AFC teams could beat them.
No one in the NFC.
The NFC, they will not be beat.
I think that's a little bit much. I don't think the Lions are going to go undefeated from here to the Super Bowl.
Who are they going to lose to at home in the playoffs in Detroit?
You seem to be forgetting that they're the Lions too.
I don't care.
This is a different organization.
Yeah, it's a different.
Look,
new owner, new head coach, new GM, new quarterback.
Give a shit.
Since those first rough 10 games, it's a completely different team.
To me, there's 2 teams like that, and it's the Jets and the Browns. It's not the.
And until recently, it was the Lions.
The Lions are. I have more respect for the Lions.
It's like the Vikings. There's to some degree of Vikingness.
When you acquire a new owner, you get to start fresh.
I have more respect.
About? It's been like 6 years.
No. The Lions have had guys like Megatron and Stafford. They're better than the Jets and the Browns.
They are a cursed franchise.
Not like the Jets.
And Lions fans may want.
Jets are worse. They
deserve to be excited. But every Lions fan knows in the back of their mind too that Lions curse is there.
Jets are worse.
And until it's broken,
I don't think Lions fans are self-hating, self-defeating.
They broke it last
year. Maybe they are better than I am. That could be it.
This team is the best team in football.
Like, we'll be 7-0, and in the back of my mind, I'm like, here it comes. Like, I know it's too good to last. Maybe the Lions fans are better than me. Maybe they know that their team's just awesome. But
the Vikings, you're also a worse franchise than the Lions too.
What the hell is that supposed to be?
Like, you're worse. What? Like, you're more cursed than the Lions are.
Cursed, maybe.
Like, it's Jets.
No, it's different. There's heartbreak and there's mind-numbing misery. And there's mind-numbing, what's the word I'm looking for here? I was just going to say like disappointment. There's
I
numbing
think this is a good distinction to draw, though, is when we talk about whether or not the Lions are cursed, they're not cursed to be successful and then fall apart at the last moment. They're cursed to be bad.
That's the
they've broken that curse. They have broken that.
Right, that's what I'm saying. They broke that curse.
I don't
Like,
we can't
the
break our
NFC
curse until we win the Super Bowl. They break their curse by winning 12 games.
They're in the NFC chip last year.
Yeah, and
like that's the Lions breaking
look what
their
happened.
curse. Yeah, they lost the NFC chip.
They were up 17.
I think any Lions fan signs up for losing the NFC championship last year.
Oh yeah, Vikings fans would get excited to go to the NFC championship game.
Yeah, they broke the curse. The Lions are used to being so freaking bad, and they broke that last year. Now they're the best team in football. So now it's all systems go.
I'm just saying there's still, to me, there's still that factor of
they're gonna be the 1 seed and mop everyone in the playoffs and go to the Super Bowl. I'm saying that right
Detroit,
now.
the atmosphere in Detroit last year was awesome.
Who's beating them? Philly, no.
I think there are a few teams. I think the Rams with Stafford
Minnesota,
could go in
no.
there. I think the Rams with Stafford could go in and give them a game.
The Rams with the overtime.
I think a healthy Packers team can go shot for shot with them.
I disagree.
I think San Francisco, if McCaffrey plays, is San Francisco scares me a bit. I actually think they'd beat Philly.
I think the Lions would actually crush San Francisco this year.
The Vikings can play.
I think the Vikings can play.
We've seen it.
We would do something wrong, but I think the Vikings can.
I think maybe like if Hurts just balls, maybe Philly.
The Lions are the best team. The Lions are the best team in the NFC. No one's like I'm not trying to take any flowers away from
by a country mile.
I don't think they're unbeatable, but
you say the Rams. They were to OT with Seahawks yesterday. The Rams
went to OT with the Lions in Detroit.
That's week 1. Things have changed since week 1. The Lions are so much better since week 1.
There is in the NFL. There are no unbeatable teams.
The Lions are unbeatable.
I love this. I love that we're sitting here and we're just ignoring. Yeah. All right. So,
dude, the Lions have gotten so much better since week 1. That was 9 weeks ago.
I think they're awesome.
If they play tomorrow against the Rams, they kill the Rams.
I don't think they kill the Rams if they play tomorrow.
1,000%.
Are Puka and Cup playing?
Yeah, I don't care if they're playing or not.
I don't think they kill the Rams.
They do kill the Rams,
but they're on a heater right now. They are absolutely on.
They're unbeatable.
You think Jack's on board, Ziggy?
Yeah,
you can't beat them. They have a good quarterback. Their lines are huge. Their run game's good. Their receivers are good. Their defense is good. I think you cannot beat them. They're impossible to beat.
It comes down to you need to. We said there was a difference. Remember, Ziggy? We said between blitzing and pressuring Jared Goff, and part of that is their line's so good. I think you just have to get to him. Remember the early stages of that Vikings game? They got to Goff on the first couple possessions, and then the Lions figured this out. They figured something out with the Vikings defense and torched them. That's another advantage of having someone like Ben Johnson. But I think you have to just get to Goff. Like, you not just blitz them, not just send the extra guy. You have to get there. And every quarterback in the league is worse when you get to them. But the way the Lions offense operates, if you're not hitting Jared Goff and sending him to the ground, they're going to torch you.
They're also so good though with that short game, like those screens.
They're good at everything. They're very good.
That's why they're hard.
No, I mean, yes. Like, what do you need to do? You need to be able to stop the run game. You need to have cornerbacks that can tackle on quick screens, and you need to be able to get guys against one of the best offensive lines in football. You need to be able to get guys hitting the quarterback without blitzing. That is the form, and you need to have a great offense that's able to take advantage of the fact that Aiden Hutchinson is out.
AKA
that's a tough formula.
AKA unbeatable.
It's
unless the game they lost,
unless you're Kansas City
or the Buccaneers,
I guess,
or the Buccaneers.
Or the Lions playing hungover
next week. So you expect them to go into Houston next week and just roll the Texans?
Crap out of
I mean, Houston lost to the Jets.
Yeah, that's too bad that Houston's got all these injuries going on too to their receivers.
Nico Collins should be back for that game though, so I think it'll be more competitive than maybe what we saw against New York.
It might be the Lions might just roll through November. At Houston, host the Jaguars. At the Colts, host the Bears.
Yeah,
that's we're probably looking at
11-1.
What are they right now? They're 7-1 right now.
Or are they 8-1?
Yeah.
No, 7-1.
7-2 at worst.
Yeah, 8, 9, 10, 11-1. And then you got the end of the year will be fun. They host the Packers, host the Bills, at the Bears, at the Niners, host the Vikings.
Okay,
that'll be fun.
The only game they might lose is at San Francisco, depending on how healthy they are.
That's the game they circled, though.
Right? Isn't this just typical? Like the year the Vikings finally start to look good, the Lions just form apparently like the super team, like the unbeatable ultra supernova Detroit Lions that we've never seen in the history of this franchise before. They've like finally figured everything out right when things are starting to look good for us.
Football is a weird sport, though. Momentum really matters, and sometimes it just takes one or two like weird things to set a team off, and like we've seen it before. Sometimes you could be on a roll
several times.
Yeah, you could be on like it's fun watching the Lions right now. Like even as a Viking fan, they're a fun team to watch, and they're really good. But like things can happen, guys can get a little banged up, and if you just lose the momentum and starts going the other way, like I don't think they're unbeatable, but I do think that at this point in time, like if the playoffs started today, they probably roll the Super Bowl. But there's still 2 months left of the season, and there's a lot of football.
Got to peak at the right time.
Yeah, exactly. Like so many people were making fun of the Vikings for peaking in September. Like even Lions fans, like, oh, yep, this Vikings team just peaked in September. All right, like.
It's not better to peak in November.
Is it better to peak in late October? No, you want to be peaking at the right time. That's when we all know the Packers will probably peak in like late December, and that would be a good playoff matchup. A peaking Packers team.
Yes, that would be a good matchup. That would be a good matchup.
Yeah. The Vikings, I think the Lions probably get the 1 seed, which makes that matchup substantially less likely. But if the Packers have an upset road win in the wild card round, and then have to go and play the 1 seed.
Yeah, and then the Vikings are probably going to go to Philly and just lose like 50 points.
Yeah, it'll be Vikings and Eagles in a 6-3 game. Who'd be the 4? Like if Green Bay's like the 5, who's the 4?
If Green Bay is the 5,
like the Falcons.
The Falcons. Right? I think I'd rather. Yeah, so I think being the 5 and going to Atlanta is a great spot.
I love that we're looking forward to the playoffs.
Yeah.
Week 9.
You'd rather,
but that's sort of what you've got if you're not the Detroit Lions. For the Detroit Lions, you can look forward to just rolling the rest of the regular season.
That's what I'm saying.
Everyone else, it feels like we're fending for ourselves.
Well, that's what they've done.
Well, that's why I said you can hand this team the trophy right now.
That's what they did. They went into Minnesota, into Green Bay, and they won. And those were essentially games that could determine the 1 seed.
Lions, Steelers, Super Bowl is going to feed families this year. That's going to be an unbelievable matchup. Physicality.
Lions.
Steelers are 12.5 point dogs.
Yeah. What do you lose that game? 54-3? I'm serious. I like
48-10.
If the line's 12.5, I mean, no offense. Like I like.
Well, but at that point though, like we would have to beaten like the Chiefs, the Ravens.
It would probably
be a different team.
You probably would have got there from like Mahomes, like sitting the game out or something.
Getting injured.
Like, Mahomes, he is like his knee pop out the week before the game on a QB sneak again.
Yeah, there'd be something like that.
We'd be 3 touchdown Super Bowl dogs, which you probably have never seen before.
All right, we'll wrap it up. So that does it for the Lions Packers reaction. Detroit 24, Green Bay 14. Lions sole possession of first place in the NFC North. They're at 7-1.
The one time we want the Packers to win. The worst Packers performance in really since I think this is the worst Packers performance since at least the beginning of last year.
Yeah, they did not look good today.
It stunk seeing them just lay a total clunker. Like it wasn't even competitive.
Yeah, a lot of hype for the game.
What makes it worse is this wasn't a clunker from the Packers, right? This was a game where they were so like their offense yards per play was way better. They gained way more. Like they could have won this game. It was their own mistakes that held them back. It's one thing if you put up like 50 yards or whatever against Detroit.
That was a clunker.
Uncharacteristic mistakes at exactly
I'd say it's a clunker. I get what you're saying.
We'll wrap it up and we'll be back for a Vikings Colts reaction. We'll see you soon.